Good evening.
Now then,
Please
all
tell me
right.
you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, yes, yeah.
Good. Good evening. Welcome to the 12-Man podcast, live, uninterrupted, on Facebook, on everywhere you listen to your podcasts and what have you. You can actually see my face for once, which is really weird. I'm Steve Jackson. I'm in the main chair, as usual. I'm hoping he's going to say hello now. Mr. John Cutler's there. Evening, Cut.
Evening, Jack. Oh, all right.
I'm all right, mate. Are you?
Yep, all good, yeah.
Good. Mr. James Algarno's looking straight at me. Even Dally?
How are we doing? All right. John would have been on the camera, but he hasn't been on the sunbeds today, so he's a bit pale.
He's a bit pale. So yes, things are a bit different this week, but let's just spice things up. So we've got lots to talk about, lots and lots to talk about this week. We've got big opener at the weekend against Swansea, which we absolutely loved. Great win. There's a stat that's popped out about the goal scorer, which I'll go through in a few minutes. We'll talk about Leeds midweek. Nice little trip down to Elland Road midweek, and then we've got the trip to Derby at the weekend. So a couple of trips to enjoy in the coming days. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. And just as I say that, on his break, Mr. John Donovan's with us. Evening, John Don.
Yeah, no then. Sorry, rush of customers.
Rush of customers, get out. Are we doing all right?
Yeah, good. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Good. So yes, we were just saying there, John Don, we've got lots to talk about, lots to get through. So I'll start with you. How good was it on a scale of 1 to 10 being back at the Riverside? The sun was out, beautiful day. It's just a great day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice build up. Didn't have as long as normal to get into the mood of the match. Obviously, with it being 12:30 kickoff, but yeah, it was great to be back. I mean, to see everybody who's still in and around us from last season, brilliant. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and obviously the result and the day went well.
It did. It went really well. It was just a cracking day, wasn't it? It was everything was spot on about it. And staying with you, how good was the success of the flags that you kindly produced, you kindly put forward and made? You were the one that did the idea, and hats off to you for doing it.
Well, yeah, it was okay. Could have been better. There was a little bit of, shall we say, not panic, but we were just trying to get them round to as many people as possible as the stadium filled up, which shuffling around people in their rows and seats was a little bit difficult, but we'll get there. But it looked good. I mean, I saw photographs. Tom Banks sent us some photographs, and it looked good. And hopefully, we can sort of add to them as the season progresses.
Yeah, it was really good. I say it was spot on. I say it was a great. It was just a great afternoon. It was proper good. Cuts, how much did you enjoy being back at the Riverside?
Yeah, it was great to be back, wasn't it, lads? Decent crowd, sunny day, and 3 points. What more could we ask for?
Exactly. It was exactly that, wasn't it? It was just everything we could possibly wanted. It was just class. It was a great day, great summer. It was just proper enjoyed it. Dally, what about you?
Oh, I'm gonna have to get used to these half 12 kickoffs. I was at that fan zone for 10 o'clock, and I think I was curled up in a ball on a settee by about 6, 7 o'clock. So it's not a big hit up. But no, it was brilliant to be back. Really good. Good to see some faces that you haven't seen over the summer, and just back to cheering the Borough on.
You might have been curled up at 6:30, Dally, because you were in the pig eye and waving your shirt around your head at 1:15.
Yeah, I was on the karaoke floor.
So we'll delve into the lineup. I think if we look at the team that played against Heerenveen, John Don, that was pretty much what we got, wasn't it? I know Howson came out, just recovering from his from the knock he picked up against Heerenveen. But Aidan Morris came in. It was pretty much what we expected, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think if Howson hadn't have picked up that injury against Heerenveen, he would have started, so it would have been the exact same lineup. But fair play to Howson. He put a shift in there for 2 minutes, didn't he?
He did. I won't spoil it, but he was my man of the match, I will say. Aidan Morris, I thought it was fantastic. No, Coach, were you pretty much happy with that team?
Yeah, like John said, I think the only one was Howson. And once he picked up that knock, whatever it was, I didn't ever think he was really going to start. So we've said before as well, but we thought Clark deserved to start after his performances last season. And to be fair, I think we looked pretty good at the back throughout the whole team. We looked good anyway. So yeah, happy with the starting lineup. To be fair.
Yeah, it was. Same with you, Dally. I imagine you're probably the same as all of us.
Yeah. Exactly. Echoing everything you said, lads. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was spot on. I say fair play to the Red Faction as well. I'll give them a big shout and say their display was really good. And say I was trying to get a picture of it, but John Don's flag was flying in my face, so I couldn't get a good picture of it. But I did see some. This is some
Sorry.
good picture. Don't apologise. It's fine. And I saw some good pictures in the North Stand as well, so it was really good. They say it was just colourful, wasn't it? A lot of people wore red as well. They say that was the best part about it. Everybody joined in. It was just great to be back. I mean, I might as well get stuck in the game now. Coach, I'll start with you. We'll go straight to the penalty because I thought it was not loads happened before the penalty, but we were just building up to it. But I suppose that spurt from Jones to get through the two defenders, it was a nailed-on penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, for me, yeah. And like I say it all the time, I don't care if it wasn't a penalty. If it goes our way, we'll have the decisions to go against us. They can argue as much as they want. It was a penalty. So
I think we were lucky that Swansea didn't get a penalty 5 minutes before it because it was right in front of us in the North Stand.
Gotcha.
I think it was their attacker got absolutely clattered, and the linesman he missed quite a few things, and you don't know if the sun was in his eyes or are you making excuses for him, but it was an absolute nailed-on penalty. So we were actually fortunate that we weren't having to come back and try and fight our way back into games like we had done so many times in previous seasons. But like you say, Jones winning the penalty, and that's his third. At that point, it was his third penalty in what, like 50 minutes of football, because he won 2 penalties in the second half against Heerenveen. Nice to see him being a bit more direct on his runs into the box.
Yeah, it was good. I say, he was one of the players that we all pointed out, to watch for this season, to keep an eye on, and he had that impact on Saturday for me, John Don. He was direct. At times we were a bit critical. I mean, we'll talk about his later chances a little bit, but his direct approach to going towards their left back, we saw what could happen. Their left back was backpedaling a little bit earlier in the half, but you can't really complain. Swansea fans didn't complain. No player complained on the pitch. They just knew it was a penalty.
Yeah, and we need to focus on that because too many people that have heard talk about the game and seen written on social media have maybe focused on the things that he didn't do. But yeah, he's a massive outlet for us and a real attacking threat when he gets the ball. We've seen him in previous seasons where he has failed to run at defenders and he's cut back and the impetus gets lost a little. But I thought on Saturday he was great. He tried to get himself into the box, into the dangerous position, and yourself, once you're in the box, the defenders are very, very wary of any contact, and I think the penalty was justified. You can't sort of make a clumsy challenge like the Swansea lad did and expect to get away with it. So yeah, and it was all down to his directness.
Exactly. And then you get into the penalty itself. I only saw the penalty when I actually got home. Obviously, I don't, as you all know, I don't watch the penalties when they happen. But upon score, it was a great penalty, firstly. It was a superb penalty. The keeper's getting nowhere near it. But upon doing it, he joined the club that's only with it's Mitrovic, Jordan Rhodes, and Charlie Austin. What's that club? Name that club.
Consecutive goals, isn't it?
Yes. Only them 4 players have scored in 7 consecutive games in the Championship era. So a goal at the weekend will put him by himself on 8, which is, amazing.
It's also Middlesbrough record because I think Brian Clough scored 7 goals in consecutive games. So he's on a par with Brian Clough in our stats. So yeah, you're right. He can go out in front should he get one at Derby on Saturday.
Exactly. I mean, I'm spoiling my predictions again, but I predict him to get one on Saturday, to be quite honest. I'll give my reasons a bit later. But, to be in that club, it's for a player, Cuts, that only joined a year ago, took a little bit of time getting into the swing of things. We saw something was there, but, just basically putting the legs in the right direction. But as soon as he hit the ground, he got into it. And to say that a year on, you can see why he's so well thought of at this club now.
Yeah, well, kudos to the backroom staff who scouted him and brought him in. We've seen in years gone past that we've wasted millions and millions of pounds on strikers that couldn't hit a barn door. Looks like we've finally found a decent one. That means we've had 2 in a row with Chuba as well, who eventually came good. It certainly hasn't took a laugh as long to get going. And looks like we've got a player on our hands, someone who's certainly capable at this level. And if we sold him today, we'd certainly be making a profit on him, which we couldn't say about a lot of the strikers we've brought in previous years.
Well, yeah, if you go back to the days of, Sombalonga, Fletcher, Gusted. Speaking of Gusted, have you all seen what Gusted does for a living now?
Yeah, he's back at Blackburn, isn't he?
Yeah, head of football operations. How did he joke himself into that?
How old is he? He can't be that old, is he?
I don't know. You can't. He didn't look that old when you saw him on the telly on Friday. I couldn't believe when the job title popped up underneath his name. I thought, no, that's a joke. Someone's pulling me leg there. But
he was never going to get a job offer of Warnock, was he?
No. As soon as he said, "Can I have a 6-month contract just to make sure I don't get injured?" Yeah, off you go. But you're absolutely right. Going back to your point there, Coach, we wouldn't make money on players like that. But if you look at the players we've got now and the strategy we've got, it's good. We're making money. We're making easy money, which brings us on, I suppose, to the players that are in the squad. I mean, one player that made his debut on Saturday was Aidan Morris, and quite frankly, there was that little moment in the first half where I thought, oh God, no. But take that away, he had one of the most solid 90 minutes in midfield I've seen in a while in a Borough shirt. I thought he was very good. I mean, you said, Dally, didn't you, last week? He's one of the players to watch out for this year. He's come with a big reputation from America. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time to settle in, but if he needs time to settle in, I'm really looking forward to the player he's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. He was, like you say, really solid. Apart from that one back pass where he had give us all a bit of a fright.
Yeah.
Everything else about his game was absolutely brilliant. And again, you go back down to the scouting network again. That they could have really pulled a gem off of you because absolutely love Johnny Howson, love him to bits. But is he going to manage a full season? It gives us that backup, or could even be his replacement in the time to come. But hell of a debut, and a real fitting debut for the 1000th cap for the Borough. In overall players, I thought it was a real solid debut.
Yeah, it was a meaningful debut as well because he became player 1000 as well. We mentioned it end of last season, our podcast, you know, who will be player 1,000. But I thought I knew what was coming because I watched him a bit at Harrogate. I made the point to just watch what he was doing. He was very good on the ball. Defensively and position-wise, he's still got a bit of work to do, but I fully get that. You know, he's coming from a different league. It's a different pace of football that he's playing now. But I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I thought it'd be Hayden Hackney trying to show him, you know, whereabouts to go and things. I thought he was better than Hackney on Saturday, and I thought Hackney was good. I thought Hackney was really good.
He had some brilliant. I mean, the fitness he showed. You know, still, you know, and then going into injury time, and he was everywhere. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, the block at the end was class, wasn't it?
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing what he can produce for us this season.
And let's be honest, it wasn't an easy debut for him, because Swansea kept the ball really well, so he had to do a lot of work, and he covered a lot of ground, to be fair. It was a really impressive debut from the lad, and considering he's not played at this standard of level before, it was very promising for what he's only going to get better, isn't he?
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, Swansea did have, I think, was it 66% possession? Yeah, on Saturday, so they had a lot of the ball, which you fully expect from a Swansea side, and we said that last week. They'll probably have more of the ball than we do, but I thought he was really good. Difficult situation because their midfield is quite dominating, but I thought he just shone. I thought he was superb. I thought he was brilliant. By the way, thanks Jeff Harland. Gusted is 35.
35, huh?
35. That is a cracking paper round.
He retired when he signed for us, didn't he?
As soon as he saw the signs for the A19, he retired. Yeah, that was it, done.
Hey, you talk about them having a lot of the ball, though, Steve. Other than the bit of a chance they had when Dieng did well just before half-time on the 40th minute, roughly. I can't remember him having a save to make. I think
Dieng cleared one off that. Not Dieng. Vandenberg got in the way of one, didn't he? I think he put his head on the one. Yeah, that was their only chance in the. That and a free kick.
I don't think Dieng actually had a save to make, did he, in the whole game, which shows. Yeah. I mean, it's not all about possession. We've had lots of possession in the past and not won games. It's about putting the ball in the net. And to be fair, we looked like the biggest threats, I would say, for a good 70 minutes of that game, where we were the ones who had the best chances. So teams can have the ball all they want. It's about winning.
Well, that's it. It was. Go on, John.
I was just going to say, I think we should have been comfortably ahead by more than one goal. Definitely before the end of the game, when we had that 10 minutes where everybody starts to get a bit nervy, we squandered chances right up until the last minute as well. You know, we know the one that Jones maybe's kept hold of the ball a bit too long, but we created chances. You know, I mean, Jones first half, he had a shot on target that deflected off a player's body, and it was goal bound. You know, so it was a better first half display than it was second. But you know what? We'll take it all day long. It's 3 points. We didn't get a win until the middle of September when we beat Southampton at home last season. You know, so it's a good start. It's a good start, and let's not worry too much about the performances at this stage, because it's just about getting points on the board for now. The performances have come.
Well, that's.
I was just going to say, you mentioned there about Jones. I would like to have been a fly in the wall in that dressing room. Like, Begzog's a big unit, and I bet Jones wasn't hanging about anywhere near him.
It was, I mean, you saw him at full time, didn't you? He was just stood, Bergzog. You could see by his stature, he was absolutely seething. He didn't get that square ball. It's the fact that Jones slowed down as well and let the defence catch up to him. I thought he just had to keep going. It's an easy square ball. It's an easy pass. It's 2-0. We don't have to worry going at stoppage time. I mean, Jeff Allen's doing my work here for me. 64% possession, 5 shots, no shots on target. Says everything, you know. You can have as much as the ball you want. But like John Don said, the only criticism I probably have of the boys, we should have had a couple on Saturday. We had the chances to have a couple, but you don't need them to start. You know, first opening day within 10 years. The days of Kike banging 2 against Birmingham. That's exactly what you need. First 5-10 games, you don't have to worry about performances. Just get into the season, get the points on the board. Last year, after 10 games, I think we only had 5 points, didn't we? You know what I mean? So we're 60% of the way there, and we've done one. So it's a good start. It's a really good start.
That's another thing as well. I don't know what you lads think. I saw Bergzog get a bit of criticism on social media about how he reacted, but for me, I want to see that hunger. We all were screaming for Jones to cross the ball over to him, and I'm sure the next time he's in that position, he certainly won't. It's about making the team better and making the right decisions. So for me, Bergzog there, he just showed hunger of what we all thought should have happened as well. So
I think you're right there. What you said there, decisions. For me personally, I was more angry about the one in the first half, because Dieng, claims a ball, I think, off a corner. He releases Jones, and I thought Jones had a decent game. I just think some of his decision making, it's early season, you'll obviously let him off for it. But the one in the first half, the keeper's coming out. All he has to do is take a touch. He just has to take it round him, and then he's got an empty net. And to be fair to him, from where we were, when he's trying to lob the keeper, it's actually swung inwards. And it's from initially when he hit it, because we obviously at the back of the north, it looks like it was like an awful miss.
Didn't end up being too far away, did it?
It didn't end up too far away, but he has to take it round. The Bergzog one, I suppose he could. For me, it was cleared off the line, and you're right in what you said. You shouldn't have let the defender, claim them yards back. But he's going through. He's an attacking player, and I get Bergzog's reaction. He wants. It's his debut. He's come on for 10 minutes. He wants to get that goal, get off the mark. But I think we could have already been home and dry if Jones had put that away on top of obviously us scoring the penalty.
I mean, to be fair to Jones, if he'd have scored that goal, we wouldn't have even been having this conversation. Yeah. So yeah. I see your point of view with that as well. So
yeah, I mean, Lath went close a couple of times, didn't he? He had a header from a corner. He made good he made good contact, but he just put it wide. And then later on, I think did Matt Clark get in away one of his goal-bound efforts in the second half? Yeah. So we had enough chances to have won the game quite comfortably. Like I said earlier, before it got a little bit nervy towards the end. But it's 3 points. It's on the board. It sets us up nicely for like Wednesday at Leeds and Saturday at Derby. So I'm looking forward to both games.
Exactly. You have to take the positives. And people are going to say, well, you won 1-0. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't get more points for more goals. It's, the most important thing was we got the win. First win like we said in 10 years. A lot of things we said last week that we thought might happen probably did happen on Saturday. I mean, we mentioned about Jones. He's got all the talent in the world, but his final decision's a bit lacking at times. Dally rightly mentioned about Morris having a big promising future with us. A lot of reputation that came out. A lot of things happened. The only thing that didn't happen is none of us got the score right. So,
no surprise there then.
No, I mean, one person did get it right. She's about 2 rooms away from me. She got it right. She nailed it. Like I laughed 1-0. So, fair play to her. I thought 1-0 was a bit like I thought. As soon as we got the first, we'd probably get 2 or 3. But it didn't work out that way. But never mind.
I'll tell you one thing we've talked about as well. We mentioned it last week. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Fry or Lenham went on the bench on Saturday. So it shows how strong our squad's going to be for this season.
Yeah. The bench was strong as well. The bench was strong as well, wasn't it? I mean, we brought on Bergzog, we brought on Coburn, brought on Howson. Was Hamilton named on the bench at all?
Yeah,
So the bench was good. I mean, and it sounds like we've got we're making headway with Tommy Conway as well. So it's all optimism now. For me, we have got things in place that make a real push to give this season out a great shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of optimism. That's what I sensed when I was walking to the Riverside on Saturday as well. There's a lot of optimism. It wasn't expectancy. It was people were very optimistic about what's coming and what's to come in the coming weeks. We've got players coming in. When you mentioned him there, John, you might as well wax lyrical about him. Great signing to bring in Micah Hamilton. Unbelievable promise from City. They say, all the clauses of City have put in, buybacks, buyback clause, sell-on clause. He's a Champions League scorer. He's still only a kid, but he speaks very confidently, doesn't he, about what he wants to be and what he wants to achieve. And I think that's certainly going to help this football club.
Yeah, the age of our acquisitions as well. You're looking at 20-year-old, 21-year-old. How old's Aidan Morris? Is he's only early 20s, isn't he?
22, I think.
Yeah, it's all future proofing, and if they're going to have fantastic careers at Middlesbrough, then if they stay with us, brilliant. But if they're going to have good careers and generate a move to a bigger club, that just helps us our sustainability, So, long gone are the days where we used to sign has-beens on free contracts, free transfers, sorry, but heavily incentivized contracts, wages that really the club couldn't afford, and we didn't get value for money. I think that's what we're looking to get now. And in the last couple of seasons, we've certainly got it. I mean, Kieran Scott's playing a blinder so far.
Yes.
I mean, we're mentioning about transfers there, and I know he's a player that we're interested in, and nothing seems to be happening at the moment. And I thought it went a bit quiet about Giles, but I read a comment off their chairman this afternoon on Twitter. Doesn't mean to say it's completely true, but I did read it, and it said they'd asked him about it, and he said he wants to start putting in some of the performances he put in at Middlesbrough. That's why we brought him to the club in the first place. So maybe not everything is going so well there. And although he started on Saturday, hopefully there's a chance of him coming in as well, because, like I said last week, I think if we bring him and Conway in, this squad's got a real chance of being top two.
I was talking about Conway today with a colleague, and he was saying how he scores 1 in 4. And I think if you did bring the likes of Giles in, and Giles played in the way that he played in his first spell with us, with the amount of crosses he got, and you look how many goals Akpom got, if he has, say we do bring Conway in and he's got Lath, two brilliant options. My question would be, what would we do? Where would Coburn sit into it?
I don't think it'll be like last year. I don't see Coburn going out on loan. I see us keeping him here as a third choice striker, trying to build up his future. He's got a lot of promise. He's had a bit of criticism in the past, but he's still a young lad. He's relatively new to this standard of football. I don't see us loaning him out like what we agreed to do last year. I think he'll be here, and he'll be a different option off the bench for us should Conway come in. Because Conway's another one. He's not going to come in and start ahead of Lath, is he? He's going to have to fight his way in once he gets in. If he starts scoring goals, that's exactly what we want to see. Competition for players
as well.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Marcus Force. I mean, he got a decent tally of goals with a stop-start season from last season, so we can get him fit and a run of games. And you've got goals from Riley McGree. You'll get goals off Azaz. Aidan Morris, hopefully he'll get into the box. He'll add to the sort of midfield tally of goals. So promising. It looks promising.
The club's in a strong position at the moment, because it's not like we're absolutely desperate to be bringing players in late in the window where clubs can say they're desperate, we're going to whack up the price by £1 million or whatever. We're not absolutely desperate to bring players in. Do we need a couple? I think we'd all agree that we could do with 2 signings to really push us up there, but we're not absolutely desperate.
Mm.
No, you're absolutely right. And one thing that's really promising as well, I mean, you read, as you mentioned there, Tommy Conway potentially coming through. Hull's, I think it was vice chairman, had a comment about that as well, because they went in, as we said last week. It was a conversation with Michael Carrick that swayed him towards us. It just shows the pulling power that we've got. We've got something behind us. I mean, it does help, obviously. We've got a manager that's won absolutely everything in club football. He's won everything you could possibly win at club level. And I suppose if you're going to have that conversation with the manager and he's ringing you up saying, I want you to play for my football team, there's not much other teams can compete with. We've got the unbelievable facilities. We've got a great squad. This club's on the up. We look this time last year, there was a lot of discontent about where the squad was, what kind of players are we bringing in, what direction are we actually going? Is it the right way we're going as well? I think what we're seeing, John, 12 months on, we're in a really, really good position, and we look set for a really good future as well.
Yeah, I mean, last year's recruitment plan is paying off now, isn't it? If you know what I mean, it's yep, we're doing well. And you talk about Conway there, who may choose Middlesbrough. He may also choose Middlesbrough instead of Hull, ahead of Derby. Ahead of Burnley. The bookies' favourites to go straight back up. So if we can sway a player to come to Middlesbrough ahead of Burnley, then yeah, there's some conversation going on there, and there's a lot of promise. So yeah, it is. I mean, I hope. I'm certain that Michael Carrick keeps everybody grounded. You just see from his demeanour, he doesn't get upset over long winless runs. He doesn't get overboard if we have a good winning streak. He's always sort of like fairly level-headed, and I think his calmness and his assuredness, it sort of like rubs off on the whole squad of players.
I mean,
it says everything about the level-headedness. I mean, the conversation we've had in the past with Carrick, we said, which players did you love playing with? Which trophy was the best one that you won? And he just went, yeah, they were all right, yeah. Well, wow, it's so humble, but you're absolutely right. He just takes it with a pinch of salt. A win's a win, a loss. He said on Saturday we're just getting started. We're building up to something that's amazing. So,
I mean, we talk about attracting players to this football club. I think we forget we are a big football club in the Championship. We're a big football club, full stop. We've got a brilliant stadium, excellent training ground facilities, a chairman that doesn't panic, shall we say, so much. So we're pretty steady here, and we mentioned, I think last week and the week before, the run we had at the end of last season for attracting players to this football club can only be a plus, because we didn't sell any big players during the summer. Touch wood, we don't sell any in the next couple of weeks. We've got big pulling power, this football club, and I think we, as fans, sometimes we forget that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
We have got players who are touted by other clubs. We've seen interest in Vandenberg, Hackney, so McGree. So yeah, we have got players that other clubs want, but hopefully, they're settled here. They see the ambition of the club, and hopefully we can fulfil that ambition this season.
Absolutely. One thing I want to just bring up just before we move on. This is one aimed at you, Cuts. This I'm looking forward to reading this out. So Carl Broughton's got in touch. I've got a few comments here, but they're just pretty much covering everything that we disagree with what we're saying. We need to forget about Giles. Yes, he looks good bombing forward, but he's defensively poor. We can't keep conceding 60 goals a season and be challenging the top two. I thought Engel would look solid on Saturday. Stop crosses coming in the box and was never caught the wrong side of the ball. Right,
if that's aimed at me, if anyone says that they have Engel over Giles, they need to go to the doctors, because I know he's not at this football club and he's not our player. And you can talk about his defensive abilities. Roberto Carlos, one of the best left backs of recent times. He couldn't defend for toffee, but going forward and assist, he was unbelievable. With the year that we got the playoffs and scoring goals left, right, and centre. Imagine him on one side, Nailing on the other, creating chances for Lath or Conway or whoever else. For me, it's a no-brainer. I take Giles over Engel any day of the week and twice on a Sunday.
Yeah, Engel had a sort of a steady game on Saturday, but he's going to come up against far better opposition than what Swansea offered. So I don't want to knock the lad, but left back is a problem position that I think the club are trying to address.
I think with Engel as well, I grew to like him a lot more throughout the season. I had a bit more confidence in him, but he's got a Sheffield Wednesday away in him. Because I thought he had that against Hedenveen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not writing the lad off. He's only been here a year. He's still relatively young. But for me, if you can upgrade, we're two players off. For me, a serious promotion push, not the playoffs, top 2. And I think if we could bring him in, it'd be a massive boost for this football club. And I would think 99.9% of fans that support us and saw Giles in the season that he was here would take him back all day long if we can agree a fee that's suitable for this football club.
I mean, there's a few people like popping up now saying, look at his. I mean, Jeff Allen's for the latest what to say. Look at his stats since he's left the club, but I think he falls under that category. When a player's right for a club, he thrives. I think he's just one of those players, in the right circumstance, under the right manager, under the right team, he thrives. And I think that's what we found with Ryan Giles. He found a place in our team, and he just got all the stats, got all the assists, and played really well. And it just hasn't worked ever since he left. He chose Premier League football, and I don't blame him one bit for doing that. And it didn't work for him. Went to Hull, didn't work for him. He's obviously made noises that he wants to come back. Would I have him back? Yeah, I probably would. But I can see both sides of the coin.
No doctor's visit for you then, Steve.
It works for him under Carrick. He gets the best out of him. So yeah. If he is a target, then I'll go along with the decision of the recruitment team and the manager, who obviously wants him to be part of hopefully a successful team this season.
Plus, if there's a better left back that's possibly available to come to this football club than him, I'm all ears.
Imagine Chelsea probably all ears as well. They've got 6 tiers of a team coach at the moment, so. But no, you're absolutely right. It's one of the positions, isn't it, that we're going to have to look at strengthening, I think, just to give us a bit of.
We wouldn't be having this conversation if Bangura, wasn't going to be out for the season. But I think with him being out for the season, or for however long he's going to be out, and I think with Engel, like you say, I think that could be where teams maybe target us.
No, you're right. I mean, I have got someone waiting to talk to us about Derby, so I will come to him very, very shortly. But are we giving George McCormack a bit of a injustice here? He's had a very good pre-season. Very, very good pre-season. He was in the matchday squad. Is he a potential? I'm not saying, stick him in, let him start. He might do whatever. I don't know. But, if the move for the left back doesn't happen, is that something we can lean back on and say, well, we've got something potentially there that could possibly help?
He's obviously talented, otherwise he wouldn't be in the squad.
So Wednesday night's the chance, isn't it? Wednesday night's the opportunity to give him some minutes and see how he comes up against. Because let's be honest, even if Leeds put a second team out, they're going to have some big players in that squad. Let's see what he's all about.
The manager's been quite successful with introducing youngsters into the squad at the right time. So yeah, I'll bow to his better judgment, to be honest. And when he feels that George McCormack is ready, then he'll be ready.
Exactly right.
I think go on, Steve.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll just quickly get your man of the matches, and I'll let Jason in. Who's going to tell us all about Derby. Ready for the weekend game. So we'll talk about Derby first, then we'll give a mention to Leeds in midweek. But I'll start with you then, Cut. Man of the match Saturday.
I thought Matt Clark was absolutely outstanding. I'm going to give it to him. I know you talked about Morris. I thought it was a brilliant debut, but Clark was absolutely solid.
Tally?
Morris. Don't need to say anything else. He was brilliant. Like everything I said earlier on, I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Spot on. John Dunn?
Matt Clark, yeah. I love the partnership that he's forming with Vandenberg. I think it's crucial. And like Kurt said earlier, we've got decent backup with Linehan, with Fry, and with Johnny Howson, who's our makeshift centre half. So yeah, we've got decent backup. But Matt Clark was great on Saturday.
Exactly. I'll just even it up, and I'll say Aidan Morris just to even things up.
Can I just say quickly before we move on? Clark reminds me of someone who got a brilliant reception on Saturday, and it was absolutely fantastic to see Mogger back at the stadium and looking well and talking well. Yeah, if Clark can be half the player he is, he'll be a legend at this football club. Just
Oh,
like
it was
Morgan is.
amazing. It was amazing seeing Mogger back.
Was.
Really emotional watching him. You know, you could tell by his voice as well. He was a bit took back by the reception he got, but yeah, quality seeing Mogger back.
Absolute legend.
Absolutely right.
Say good on the club. Good on the club keeping it quiet as well, because it was a good surprise, wasn't it? So obviously sending our best over to Mogger, and hopefully we get to see him out and about a little bit more.
Yeah, if you're listening, Tony, you can come on the podcast anytime you want.
Absolutely right. One of our lads just does your bins every other week, so have a word with Josh, he'll sort you out. But right, we'll move on to. I know we've got Leeds in midweek, but we'll move on to Derby, second game in the league this season. Kindly joined by Jason Straw. Evening, Jason. You okay?
Evening, chaps. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing really good. How are you?
All good, thanks.
Yeah, a bit of a rude awakening Friday night, but nice to be back in the Championship after a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go straight into that then. Obviously, tell us about your summer. The euphoria, I suppose, of being back in the Championship a few years away for yourselves. Paul Warren brought you back to the Championship. How's your summer been? How's your recruitment been?
I think we've made some solid signings. Paul Warren said over the summer he wanted to bring in about 12 players. We've got 7 through the door at the moment, with an 8th sort of in the pipeline, and then there's a couple of others that are being linked. I think we've had a terrible pre-season. I know you don't really read too much into pre-season, but I watched every game Derby played, and some of the results and some of the performances were a little bit hit and miss. But it was about obviously gelling people, and I get all that. And then obviously go time last Friday, I was there up at Ewood Park, and it was almost the good, the bad, and the ugly from Derby, really. So it's still obviously early days. We're not. Some Derby fans have gone into meltdown already, but I'm not going to be one of them. Obviously, the transfer window isn't even shut yet. But I think business has been okay, but I do believe we've got to do a hell of a lot more. We've got a pretty average 11 that I think can keep us in the division, but it's more about the strength and depth. I think that's what we need to look at next.
Two things.
I mean, that's one.
Oh, go on. I was just going to say 2 things. I think, first of all, once you'd equalised on Friday, I watched the game, and to be fair, as an outsider, I thought Derby were going to go on to win it. And second of all, that's a cracking bed you've got behind you there, Jason.
Unfortunately, I'm in a Premier Inn, so I can't put claims to that. I'm working away down London, but
there are other hotels available.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, the game Friday, as you say, I mean, Blackburn absolutely came out of the traps. They're going to have a point to prove this season as well, having obviously a disappointing season last season. Not starting with Sam Smodics up front, you think to yourself, well, okay. Obviously, he comes on in the second half, and to be honest with you, his introduction with a couple of others probably turned the game on its head a little bit. We, as you do in the Championship, you've got to weather that early storm, and Derby sort of did it for 15 minutes, and then, although Blackburn were a little bit on top, they get a goal out of a bit of poor defending, really. And I thought at that point, I think you're right. I think Derby grew back into it a little bit. Probably ended the first half a little bit stronger, and then that second half for that 15-20 minutes. I mean, you've got anybody who watched it just before we equalised, you've got one scrambled off the line. If that goes in and then you hit them with a quick double, I mean, the game's a completely different thing. But yeah, we managed to grab the equaliser, and you've just, I know it's only opening day, but you kind of think, well, okay, you at least want to be leaving Lancashire with something. And then the substitutions, just, they made 3, obviously bring on a 27, 28 goal striker from last season.
Yeah.
And Paul Warren didn't make any changes until ultimately it was too late, and they absolutely just blew us away. Obviously, you concede the third and fourth really because you're trying to push to get back in the game. And I mean, credit where credit's due. We didn't give up, and obviously we get one just before the end. So it was a baptism of fire. It's definitely a welcome to the championship. And at the end of the day, I think with a lot of these players that Derby have got, there's not too many of them actually that have played lots and lots of championship football. So it's going to have to be obviously a steep learning curve, but of course they're going to have to learn it quickly because we can't let 10, 15 games go by in this division because, chances of staying in it will be pretty slim.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there, Paul Warne was very, very. It looked like to me, it looked reluctant to make the changes at times, which is a bit. There was. I did notice a bit last season. There was a bit of needle between the fans and Paul Warne. Some wanted him gone, some wanted him to stay. What's the feeling around the fans? Obviously we've seen a manager go already with Ryan Lowe. I'm not saying do you want to get rid of him, but is that split still there with your fans about Paul Warne?
Oh, without doubt, yeah. And for basically the reasons that you've just said, a lot of fans think he's tactically inept. They think he was in League One, which obviously then doesn't particularly bode well for the Championship, does it? I mean, I think he does get a little bit of unfair stick, but I think at the same time that there are some genuine things that he does do in games, like substitutions. He did it a hell of a lot last season. He really did. You wanted changes, and I mean, in some respects, Paul Warne, when you hear him talk, he's a very philosophical manager, and he doesn't make changes for change's sakes. And he's admitted since he's come in, sometimes he's just not got the quality on the bench that he thinks is going to obviously bring on it and make those changes. But that's I think that's a bit of an scapegoat sort of comment. Even before Derby, anybody obviously looking into his history, he's done very, very well in League One, never done particularly well in the Championship. We obviously spoke to a fair few Rotherham fans podcasts about when we brought him in, and they said exactly the sort of same thing. He can get out of League One, but has he got the tactical nous to obviously go on in the Championship? I think it's harsh that some people are calling for him already. I can assure you that they've called. Some of them have called for him almost after 6 months of him coming in. So it's. I think the situation that we're going to find ourselves in as Derby fans, unfortunately, I think he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. I think if the start doesn't go particularly well, the fans are just going to heap on him. They really are. They did it last year. There was a game after about 10, 12 games. I think we played Stevenage away and we got absolutely trolloped. We really did. Fans were arguing with players. I think it was Conor Oran was giving it some back. And there was not just from fans. A lot of people thought that was it. He was gone. Then the dreaded vote, I suppose, the dreaded vote of confidence came out from the board, and you thought, right, well, that's it. Next game he's gone. And I think then we went on something daft of a run like we lost 2 in 19 or something like that. With no real difference. It's weird. He's got this major thing about trying to play 3-5-2, and we look awful in it. The first season he came in, he tried it, didn't work, turned around and said he'd not got the players to do it. Fine. Made 7 or 8 signings in wing-back positions, tried to play 3-5-2 last season, didn't really work, turned around and said he hadn't got the players. Half the time in pre-season this season, he's done exactly the same, brought people in, tried to play 3-5-2, we've looked awful. He's now turned around again and said he doesn't think we've got the players to play it. So, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, really. But there are a few things that I think Derby. I think there's a legitimate reason why some Derby fans have got a little bit of a bad comment to say about Paul Warne. But at the same time, the man got us out of League One in basically in 18 months, which we've seen bigger clubs than Derby, in all fairness, fail to do that. So we have to give him the opportunity. I'm cautiously optimistic, but our chairman does seem to back him, and I've got a bit of a worry that it might be that we don't pull the trigger on him early enough this season, if I'm completely honest.
Last season, we saw teams come up. Ipswich obviously had a fantastic season, went straight through into the Premier League. Another team that come up, Plymouth, they struggled and avoided relegation, which is great because we can have another great weekend down there. But do you think Derby County this year will be more akin to Ipswich or Plymouth?
Oh, Plymouth, John, Plymouth. Derby are not doing it. Ipswich. There's no way. We haven't got I don't really think we've got a recognised striker in our squad. Yet he's been after a striker for 2 years. So, and some of the latest players that we've been linked with in the last 3 or 4 days as strikers, they don't leave much to be desired. They really don't. And to be fair, he has brought, I think, since coming in, I think he signed 6 strikers, but not one of them, as knowing the Championship, as obviously Derby have done, other than the last 2 years. None of them, set the imagination going. So I can't see him doing in Ipswich at all. Plymouth, yeah, I think. We've seen already on the opening weekend, and I appreciate it is only the opening weekend, but, there's a couple of shock results in there for some teams. I think Plymouth are a team that are going to struggle, and I'm not just saying that because Wayne Rooney is the manager, because actually Derby fans pretty much like him for the job that he tried to do, obviously, before we went down. But yeah, no, it's all about just trying to get that 21st. Anything higher than that, of course, as I said earlier, Derby are still looking to do a bit of business. They're still looking to bring 5 or 6 in. And if they can bring in 5 or 6 of some of the quality that they've already brought in this season, I think that will definitely make us stronger. But Paul Warne has got this tendency to bring in a few journeymen as well. And we've seen that. We saw that last year. And to be honest with you, they didn't really cut the grade.
Jason, can I just ask, obviously looking at the game on Saturday, what's the opposition view on Middlesbrough, and how do you think the game's going to go?
To be honest with you, as always, Middlesbrough are a team that I've always looked at that obviously ultimately should probably be doing a little bit better than they have over the last few years. But of course, you've always been knocking on that door and flirting with promotion. I mean, when I first saw the fixtures coming out, obviously Blackburn away, never an easy game. Although, especially if Smonix goes, I wouldn't expect them to be much higher than sort of a mid-table. So we kind of looked at that as a bit of a test to see where we were. But then we've got yourselves, and then the week after we're away at Watford, who I know obviously had a bit of an indifferent season last year, but obviously we've been used to League One football for 2 years. When you read those first couple of fixtures, it's like obviously Derby fans are used to looking at the Championship and being able to pick their way through to obviously a playoff challenge for themselves. But even back then, and of course we've had the tussles over the last 5 or 6 years between us both. Middlesbrough have always been, certainly for me anyway, they've always been a really impressive outfit in the Championship, and obviously have always been up there. And of course, I forgive me, I don't know I can't remember what his name is, but obviously you've got the lad up front that I know was pretty exciting last season, and I think he scored on Saturday, didn't he? So
Yeah,
he's somebody that terrifies me already. But no, I think a good amount of points, hopefully for Derby this season, are definitely going to come at Pride Park. I think they have to make Pride Park a bit of a fortress in the Championship. But I must admit, I'm not necessarily looking forward to Borough's visit on Saturday.
So on that, we have a charity bet every week. We predict the score and an anytime goal scorer when we do a double. We were quite successful last year. We didn't get anything right on Saturday for our opening game. So if we could ask you for your prediction for Saturday, what would it be?
That's a bit of a tricky one. Coming as I said, coming back to Pride Park, Derby have always had a pretty decent home record. But I'm from some of the defensive frailties that I've seen over pre-season, and certainly some of the defensive mistakes that I saw on Friday night from a defence that, albeit League One, were the second best defence in League One. I think we only conceded like 25 goals. I don't think we're keeping a clean sheet, John. I'll be honest. But as I said, 30,000, obviously there's going to be over 30,000 at Pride Park on Saturday, and that did pick Derby up a fair few points last season, because Derby did not cakewalk into second place last season, I can assure you. I'll go 2-1 Borough, if I'm honest. I'd love to think that Derby can get something on the board, but ultimately, that little bit of championship quality certainly undid us Friday night against Blackburn, and I would say Middlesbrough personally are a stronger side than Blackburn. So, unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little bit of more disappointment for Derby. I'd say 2-1.
You picking any
Yeah,
time goal scorer for us, whether it be a Derby player or a Borough player, Jason?
I will go the 28th minute.
That'd be amazing if we bet on the 28th minute. A particular goal scorer, if you've got one.
Goal scorer, I'm gonna go with. Oh, that is a tough one. I think I've got to go for your boy up front. I think I've got to. Laffy. Yeah, I've got to.
Well, we were just talking that if he does score on Saturday, that'll be the 8th consecutive championship game that he scored. So that'll beat the record that he currently shares with Mitrovic. And who else was it, Steve?
Jordan Rhodes and Charlie Austin. So
yes,
he's in very, very good company.
If he does score at Derby, then yeah, he goes into the lead in consecutive goals in the championship.
Can I just ask one last question, Jason? Will Mr. Gibson be nice and welcome down at Park on Saturday?
To be honest with you, probably not.
No.
For me personally, I think Derby have gotten. I know it's hard, but Derby have got to move on from that now. I think the fans have got to move on from that now, and I think gaining the promotion back should now really be the closing chapter to that. I mean, and I remember speaking to Borough fans at the time, and some of them were quite nasty towards Derby's owner as well. And I can assure you, Derby fans do not like Mel Morris anymore. Clearly. But for me, it's water under the. I think it's water under the bridge now. I really do. There will be a section of fans that I'm sure will remember fondly, especially if he's at the game. But no, for me, Derby have got bigger pressing matters to worry about than obviously what it's best part of 3 years ago now, near enough. So.
I think you've said the right thing there. I think it's time to move
absolutely.
on. I mean, when we played Derby up at the Riverside the last time, there was some unsavoury scenes, and nobody wants to see that. So I just hope both sets of fans behave themselves on Saturday and things go off peacefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to be honest with you, sorry, just to point out, I mean, League One, I mean, I think Portsmouth brought the most fans, and there was like 2,500. I mean, just actually having 2,000-3,000 of any team in this division's fans there to be part of the atmosphere is something I know that I'm looking forward. Certainly, me as a fan is definitely looking forward to getting Pride Park going again, because I think you need that. You need that rivalry. You need those rivalries. You need the away fans there. There was just too many times last season where ultimately, 300 from Accrington aren't making the same noise as 4,000, from Middlesbrough Wednesday or wherever. So that's one of the main things I'm looking forward to seeing, and actually looking forward to watching a bit of football played on the floor, because League One there wasn't a lot of that either.
Well, there you go. There's the opposition view for you. I'm looking forward to my trip on Saturday. It says a few of us going. They'll be amongst the 3,000 that'll be there on Saturday. So, Jason Straw from the Rams Review podcast, thank you so much for popping on. Really appreciate your time. Best luck for the season. Not Saturday, but best luck for the season.
No, absolutely. Same to you, lads. Thanks for inviting me on. And yeah, all the best.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Take it easy.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
There we go. There's the opposition view. Took us a bit past the time that we need. But I'll hand over to you, Cuts, now. Prediction time.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Lattilath 3-1. Jason went Lattilath 2-1 Borough. Dally?
1-1.
I'm going to stop
46 points incoming.
I'm just going to write it down.
Can you go on a draw? On draws. 1-1, and I'll go Vandenberg.
JD?
2-0 Borough. Riley McGree.
Jackal?
3-0 Borough. First goal scorer, I'm going to go Mika Hamilton. Anytime goal scorer.
Oh, yeah. Good show.
Just quickly, I know we've gone past time here, but quickly, predictions for Leeds on Wednesday, which is a big game. Big game for me anyway, so I'll start it off. I'm going to go for Hamilton first, anytime goal scorer, 2-1 Borough. Obviously, Dally's going 1-1, so we'll miss him out.
Yeah, 1-1.
Scorer?
Azaz.
JD?
2-2. Bergzorg.
Jackal?
3-2 Borough. Matt Clark.
So JD and Dally, are we going to win on penalties?
Yes, of course we are.
Yeah.
There we go. That'll do, won't
Yes. Love it. And there you go. It's fair play to the Borough fans that are going down Wednesday. It's just short of 4,500 that are going JD on Wednesday.
I don't know. I didn't sort of actually know
That'll just be on
the.
John's bus. It'll be like an Indian train.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the initial allocation sold out. I didn't know how many extras we got. So if it's 4,500, fantastic. That'll be be a great. It would be a great night out.
Definitely, and bring on Saturday as well. I say Saturday would be a great trip. Looking forward to the early morning wake up. That'll be good. But yeah, it's gonna be a mega day out, and just like that, we're done. There you are. Bit weird. Probably people seeing me instead of Cuts. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going to be for a little bit, so I'm sorry. So, gentlemen in the studio, thank you so much for doing my bit. Dally, Cuts, thank you. John, Don, always good to see you. Enjoy your trip Wednesday. I'll see you Saturday morning. I'll see you Saturday morning as well, Dally. And people that popped on, thank you for coming on, liking, commenting, subscribing, getting involved. Keep an eye out on the socials throughout the week. As time goes on, we will get the charity money distributed, and see a lot of very happy faces with the money that we've raised. And hopefully this week we'll actually win the bet. So there you go. Be seeing you up the Borough. Arrivederci.
Up the Borough.
Come on, Borough.
Birthday shout